Hi, I'm Mrs. Bolton, and I teach Family and Consumer Sciences. Predominantly, the classes I teach are the culinary classes. We have the Family and Consumer Science classes divided into three areas. They're divided into child development and family relations, into textiles, and into culinary arts. So next, we have culinary arts, which everybody starts with that class, so you get the basis. Healthy cooking, which is based on the My Plate and how do you make foods that are going to be healthy. So if you're an athlete, this would be a really good class because it can help you with making foods that could help to improve your athletic performance. So our top classes for culinary arts would definitely be Serve Safe. Next class would be baking and pastries, which deals with all of the baking principles. It's chemistry of baking. And then we have advanced culinary arts. Advanced culinary arts is where you get to play with food. We do a lot of plating. We make gingerbread houses in there. We do either pumpkin wars in Halloween wars in the fall, or we do Easter wars.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Dellinger from the Facts Department. I teach child care and parenting, child development, and child development 2, the preschool class. If you're interested in the child development programs, child care and parenting would be a good introduction class. Although not required, it's recommended for the other 2 classes. Then you would take Child Development 1 and then Child Development 2, which is the preschool. And we also offer a preschool internship following the second class. The Child Care and Parenting class is offered for grades 9 through 12. This teaches basic child care and parenting skills. And the children in this class get to take home the computer baby as a project to give them realistic experience of caring for a child. The Child Development 1 class is offered to grades 10 through 12. This class learns the curriculum and procedures for the preschool program. They plan activities, lessons, crafts, and projects that they would teach to preschoolers in preparation for the next class. The Child Development 2 class is the preschool class. We have actual preschoolers from the community who attend the program from 9:30 to 11:30, a couple days a week. And the students in this class actually teach the preschool and run the preschool program. At the conclusion of that, there's the preschool internship. If you successfully complete the Child Development 2 preschool program, you can apply for the hands-on practical experience and further training in running a preschool program.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Hatz, and I teach the textiles classes for the Facts Department. If you are interested in interior design, I also teach interior designs as well as creative crafts. When you take some of the textile classes in Facts, you're going to start with Textiles 1. It's an introductory course to sewing, hand sewing, machine sewing, and basic fibers. And then we're going to go into Textiles 2. We're going to talk a little bit more about pattern making that we explored in Textile 1, and it's going to be more geared towards industry apparel as opposed to home sewing. And then you can go into advanced textiles where you will learn how to do things for offshore and some more advanced sewing techniques. I also teach creative crafts where we will explore the artisan ends of creative crafts as well as some of the creative techniques you need to become maybe a preschool teacher or an elementary school teacher. For interior design, we explore housing and how to be an interior designer. So you'll learn floor plans, how to decorate, and some of the history. One of the projects that we do in interior design is we compare a home. We compare 2 homes, one from before the 1800s and one after the mid-century or today. And they build a house in 3-dimensional.
Hi, I'm Mr. Eck. I teach Introduction to Art, Drawing, Painting, Advanced Drawing and Painting, and also AP 2D Art and Design.
So everyone starts out with Introduction to Art. That's a half-a-year intro class where we focus on value, composition, techniques, to create different pieces of art, different materials, and that kind of helps build their skills that can translate into the other areas. So once they take intro and pass, that opens the doors to all of the other art classes that are underneath the art umbrella, which includes drawing, painting, ceramics, and sculpture. Ceramics and sculpture both have a level 1 and then a level 2 class, and with an independent study in 3D if they want to continue that. If they take drawing and painting, then they have an advanced drawing and painting that they can take, which combines both. With drawing, we again look at composition, we look at different art styles, we use different mediums. I have students use charcoal, they have to draw with ink and pen. We focus on other materials like chalk pastels, oil pastels. In painting, we focus on value. Right off the bat, we start with Black India ink. We look at Sumai Japanese paintings as inspiration. But a lot of it's very driven with what they want to do. They come up with their images and things like that with the drawing, painting classes. And then when you get to advanced drawing and painting, you kind of combine the two. So they have to do both drawings and paintings. It's very self-paced, all brought up on them. They have to pick projects and concentrations. So they'll pick one project, say a landscape, and then the concentration would be fantasy. So they could do a fantasy landscape, and they could pick whatever materials or mediums they want. And then they cross those off the list, and then they would choose another project and another concentration. So it's all very much what they want to do based on their own ideas, experiences. And then I said with the AP 2D Art and Design for next school year, that will be all year long, building a portfolio for college specifically, or art school. So that's kind of where we're at. Other than if you wanted to continue, you could take a 2D independent study or a 3D independent study to continue working and building those skills. Even if you didn't want to have a career in art, you still have the option of taking a higher level class.
I'm Ms. McBrien. I'm an art teacher here in T5. I teach Intro to Art. I also teach the ceramics classes and the sculpture classes and the independent study 3D class. And the skills that it takes is you have to pass Intro to Art with a C or higher to get to ceramics 1 or sculpture 1 level. And then you have to pass ceramics 1 and sculpture 1 to get to with a B to get to the sculpture 2 or ceramics 2 level. And you have to pass either one of those classes with a B or higher to get to independent study. So as you continue to go, the expectation of your grade gets higher and higher as you go. What topics do I teach? What classes do I teach? I said I teach Intro to Art. That's the first level art class. You can take it as a freshman, sophomore, or a junior. And as an underclassman, you have to have that to move on to any other art class past Intro to Art. All the classes are semester long. So that as a freshman coming in, you can take an Intro to Art class and have it in the fall, and then have painting class, drawing class, sculpture 1 or ceramics 1 class the second half of your freshman year. Then for me, a student moves into ceramics 1. Ceramics 1 is clay every day, and we work with functional pottery, which means that everything that we make can be used. It can be used as a mug, it can be used as a vase, it can be used to a bowl. Will change, but whatever it is, it has use. And after ceramics 1, then we move into ceramics 2, where we take the building skills we learned in ceramics 1, such as working with slabs, coils, and pinch pods, moving them and developing them into more difficult projects. In ceramics 2, they get 7 different projects and they choose 5 of them. And so it becomes a lot more self-driven, and the projects get a little larger as far as the amount of time that gets put into them. They also get to work with the new clay, so they get earthenware as well as the new stoneware for them. And they get to work on the potter's wheel in ceramics 2. And then in sculpture 1, which would be another class to take after Intro to Art, in sculpture classes, we work with different materials for every project. Every start with wire, and from wire we go to foam, so it becomes subtractive sculpture, and then we go to clay, and then we go to cardboard, and then we go to plaster. And so they build upon each other's and level of difficulty and time it takes to do it, and new tools. Everyone has new tools. And then in sculpture 2, much like sculpture 1, or ceramics 2, excuse me, they get 7 different projects, and they get to choose 5. And again, some of those work with are fibers, recycled materials, clay, amongst others. So again, every project is then a different material. And in sculpture, unlike ceramics is all functional, sculpture is all decorative. So as I say, one gets to be used and one gets to be dusted. And then in independent study 3D, you have to take a level 1 and level 2 of either sculpture or ceramics, and then you're going to take those skill sets you learned in those 2 classes, and then you create your own curriculum. So you're going to choose one thing that you really want to develop.
So my name is Mr. Royer. I teach drafting and design, all classes of drafting and design. I also teach the construction trades pathway, which involves part of blueprint reading, but also progresses up at this time to residential framing. So I'm going to start off with construction trades. It's highly recommended that you go through a couple prereqs before you move through the construction trades program. You're recommended to take blueprint reading. You're recommended to take exploring construction safety and operations, construction hand and power tools, and it's recommended that you have woods technology like woodworking level 1. That's your prereq. What that allows you to do is step into the next phase of the construction pathway, which is residential framing, where we create a full shed. Also, that leads into next year's edition of concrete and masonry technologies.
My name is Mr. Downs. I teach kind of 2 different career pathways, one focused on woodworking and plastics, and one that is focused on engineering. In the woodworking classes, there are 4 levels of woodworking classes. The first one is called Exploring Woodworking. That is an intro course where we get you familiar and comfortable with all of the tools and machines that you would be using. And it's very procedural, where you would be following a specific procedure list and going through and building a project that is pretty much set from start to finish. Now, as we go up in levels, there's Woods and Plastics 2, Woods and Plastics 3. As you continue to work through those, there becomes more of a design aspect to the course, where you would be allowed to come up with your own ideas, designs, and projects that you would want to build on your own. The capstone of the woodworking courses is called Manufacturing, Production, and Design. That is a course where you would be working with a team of people to construct multiple of a specific project with the goal in mind of trying to make money off of the sale of those objects. And that's the 4 courses for woodworking. For the engineering pathway, there are 2 engineering courses, Principles of Engineering, which you must be an 11th grader to take that course. In there, you are going to learn how to use CAD softwares. You're going to learn the engineering design process, and you're going to be presented with a lot of open-ended problem-solving tasks where you're going to have to work with a group to try to solve problems in fields of civil engineering, mechanical engineering, energy and power. It's very open-ended, and you're going to be working a lot with other people using your hands to create objects that hopefully solve a problem. After you complete that course, Principles of Engineering 2 is available to you, where we do more of the same, studying a little bit different objects. We move into electronics and robotics in that course as well.
My name is Dr. Lyle. I teach all of the metal classes here at Red Lion Area High School. They are metals 1, 2, 3, and 4. You start with exploring metalworking technology, which is like the metals 1 class. After you take that, then you may take metals 2. Once metals 2 is completed, you would take metals 3, and once metals 3 is completed, you would take metals 4. To move up in the classes, you should have at least a C or better to move to the next class. every class, we focus on the 4 areas that are in the metal shop: sheet metal work, machining, foundry, and welding, forging, hot metal working. And in each class, there are projects related to these 4 topic areas. As you advance through the program, the projects and techniques become more advanced or a little bit harder, so that you're constantly building on your general knowledge that you picked up in the first level class.
My name is Mr. Tom, and I teach all 4 levels of graphic arts, as well as the first level of digital photography and black and white film photography. So all 4 levels of graphic arts starts with exploring graphic arts, and then you go into graphic arts 2, followed by graphic arts 3, and then instead of graphic arts 4, we are actually starting up a new class, and this is called Manufacturing Enterprise. And in addition to that, with digital photography, that begins with exploring digital photography, which leads into Mr. Ziegler's class of advanced digital photography and digital photography portfolio. There is also black and white film photography mixed in there as well. In exploring graphic arts, you will learn the trade industry program, Adobe Illustrator, which is used by all graphic designers around the world. And you will also be learning some production methods such as screen printing to create a t-shirt in the class, as well as using the vinyl plotter to create stickers. It's a great start to your graphic arts education. This, of course, leads into Graphic Arts 2. In Graphic Arts 2, you learn some more advanced methods of using Adobe Illustrator. We actually go into different vinyl applications and create some different projects. We also start getting into using the laser engraver as well as the packaging industry, which is very important. In Graphic Arts 3, it becomes more independent. You do some design process challenges. You may have seen some student work around the school. And in addition to that, you will actually start to investigate some of your future options, such as college and career options. You'll also go on a tour of a industry in the graphic arts field. So just recently we went to Anstat and saw their print production facility as well as their graphic design studio, which was very beneficial to the Graphic Arts 3 students. Lastly, in Manufacturing Enterprise, we team up with Mr. Downs' top-level woodworking students, and we actually design a project that we will sell to the community, and it is my students' job to create all of the advertising as well as the website to sell the product. In the first level of exploring digital photography, we learn how to use a professional digital camera and also some Photoshop manipulation techniques. So yes, you learn how to take pictures, take them well, and edit them. Lastly, in black and white film photography, we learn how to take photos using a black and white film camera and then develop the film as well. It is a great way to get involved in the vintage way of creating photos, as well as learn more about how the camera works from a basic concept.
I'm Mr. Ziegler. I teach various video and photography classes. Course order. So you have, for video, you have the starting exploring cinematography, then you have advanced cinematography, and then you have director of cinema. You also have a branch after taking introduction or exploring cinematography. You can branch out in doing game design and theory. So that's the video side. Then there's photography. For photography, you have exploring digital photography, portfolio are the 3 classes. Then you also, after taking exploring photography, you have black and white photography, 1, 2, and 3. So those are the 2 realms. There's also a standalone video class for announcements called TV Studio Prep. Let's start with exploring digital photography. This is a 1-semester class where you go through the basic levels of exploring what photography is, how to use Photoshop, a little bit of Illustrator for the end purpose of becoming a photographer, which will lead to the portfolio class, which is where you're actually putting together your website and trying to reach out to potential customers and working actually as a photographer with the district and with local community partners. For the cinema or video ones, the end class is Director of Cinema. Director of Cinematography is a high-level class that is a double period for a semester class that you are taking on a director or leadership management role for cinematography. Where it starts off as exploring digital cinema or exploring cinematography is where it's a year-long, one-period class where you go through what it takes to be a cinematographer, from writing scripts to filming to working with people. A lot of time management is a huge requirement. For the off-spin classes, you have the TV studio prep class, is actually potentially turning into an internship program instead of just a class. So you earn internship credits for that. That's in the works. But right now that's an offshoot class where you prepare and produce the morning announcements. Video game and theory class is where it's a double period for a year class. Very, very rigorous class where you actually will learn coding, game design, theory, and be developing your own video games here at school. Very, very intense program. You have to go through video 1 or exploring digital cinema to get to that class.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Blymeyer, and I am a business education teacher here at Red Lion Area Senior High School. The courses that I teach are career explorations, concepts of business, web page design, and a new one for next year, sports and entertainment marketing. In career explorations, we do a lot of activities that help us understand what might be some courses or careers that we are interested in. We talk about how we further our education outside of high school, whether it be jumping into the workforce or going to college. And we also try to create a resume so that way we are ready for the workforce. In concepts of business, we start talking about all the different aspects of the business industry. We talk about marketing, entrepreneurship, finance, operations, all those different areas within the business model, just to get a little bit of an introduction. All of our courses in business then expand upon those classes. In web page design, we learn how to develop websites while utilizing HTML and CSS coding. And then our newest course for next year is going to be sports and entertainment marketing. And that class looks at the industry of event planning and how that event planning works and operates. How do you market that event planning, and how do you successfully run either a sporting or large show event?
Hello, my name is Mrs. Cleary, and I am one of your business teachers. I teach personal finance, entrepreneurship, personal law, college in the high school introduction to business, and college in the high school accounting 1. Entrepreneurship, we look at running a business, getting it started, and actually creating the business plan in order to be able to hopefully implement or have someone review it for implementation. For personal law, we look at the legal system through the courts, what court systems happen, what happens in each step, and we look at both criminal and civil law. For college and the high school introduction to business, you are able to get 3 college credits through HACC. It also includes the freshman orientation course, so we would complete all of that all at one time throughout our course here at the senior high, and it is at a discounted rate if you choose to get the HACC credits. Also through HACC, the Accounting 1 course, that is a 4-credit college class. This is a very intense college class. I do strongly encourage anyone who wants to take Accounting 1 to complete elementary accounting beforehand, because it will make the quick one semester course of 4 college credits a whole lot easier.
Hi Redline, my name is Mrs. Howard and I'm a member of the business department. And I'm going to talk about the classes that I teach. First is personal finance. This is a requirement in order to graduate, so it's very important, but it will make you financially successful in your future. You will learn topics such as payroll, budgeting, taxes, banking, credit, and even how to buy a car and a house. Next, I teach marketing. Often students think about advertising or promotion when they hear the word marketing, but it is so much more. In marketing, we focus on the marketing concept and the marketing mix, and you'll discover how not only business profits from marketing, but you as a consumer also benefit from marketing. And finally, business management is the course that's going to give you the skills and knowledge necessary to make you successful in this global environment of ours. We learn about organizing, leading, staffing, and we also talk about diversification, ethics, and even how to manage your stress. So I look forward to seeing you in the business department.
I'm Ms. Moser. I'm one of the agriculture teachers here at the high school. Classrooms all the way down at the end of the tech wing. I teach Intro to Ag, Animal Science, and Plant Science. Those 3 classes are year-long classes. Animal Science and Plant Science can count as a science credit if needed. I also teach an independent study class that's available to students who want to pursue something independently related to agriculture. That is also a year-long class, and I teach a few semester-long classes, Ag Business Management, Ag Resource Management, and Ag Food Products. Those classes dive into pretty much just what the name says. In Ag Food Products, we do eat the food that we talk about, and in Ag Resource Management, we go out and utilize the nature trail a lot as well. New this next year, I will be teaching a veterinary science class for students who have taken a animal science class in the past. So look forward to that, and that is a must if you have an interest in working in the veterinary field in your future. The FFA is a huge part of everything that we do down here in the agriculture wing, and we are very active. You've probably seen flyers for meat sticks and the stall talk and everything. And FFA is a national organization that any student enrolled in an ag class can participate in, and it expands on what you are learning in the classroom, and there are lots of competitions and awards and prizes and things for you in your future with FFA and ag classes.
Hi, I'm Mr. Neff. I teach agricultural classes here at the high school. I teach welding, which is welding. I teach ag mechanics, which is house wiring and plumbing and masonry. Spend a whole marking period on house wiring, and the rest is plumbing and masonry. And then I teach small gas engines, which you have to take first, which leads into internal combustion engines, which is large engines, cars, trucks, that kind of stuff.